we come in.
Okej, pass på en minut studion.
Pass på, en minut studion kom.
Extremt. Bra, vi har 40 sekunder. 30 sekunder om...
30 sekunder.
Ja. De ligger uppe med mickarna. De ligger uppe med mickarna.
De ligger uppe med mickarna, kom.
Bra. 30 sekunder. Och 30 sekunder. Aha, uppe så. Ja, men det är bra. 30 sekunder.
30 sekunder.
Okej, vi kan räkna ner från 5.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hi, and a warm welcome to our live studio right here on the dock in Lysekil. Second day of racing is just about to begin, and we will get you right out on the water in a few minutes. But first, hi and welcome, Anna.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. It's great to be here, and we had a fantastic first day of racing yesterday, and we've been working hard for this since last year, so it's really good to be up and running here in Lysekil.
You are the founder of Lysekil Women's Match. It's the 13th edition this time around, but back in the days you were a match racing sailor yourself.
Yes, yeah, I've been doing quite a bit of match racing, and I raced here once during the Worlds in 2009.
If you have a look in the mirror backwards and reflections of how the match racing have been developing here in Lysekil, we've done this 13 times. What would you say is the greatest change when we look at 2018? How has the race developed?
I think that we have always had a big focus, of course, on
Nu testar vi att tjata på här. Vi ser studion.
Sailors, and we want to do it at a very high sportive level. And of course, my organization and the organization on water have learned a lot. They have, improved all skills, so we are better on, keeping up the tempo, and so of course our organization has grown. I think women match racers have also improved. I mean, they have raced more and maybe have a higher level of tactic skills, I would say. So and we constantly work with how we can improve the event overall, both for the sailors, but also, of course, for our spectators and our partners. So it's a constant work to make this grow, and yeah, it has improved in various ways.
You're doing an amazing job, and you have quite a large team with you. For the viewers that have not been here in Lysekil, you should come, because this is an arena in world class. We are having our studio right here on the dock, and we can overlook the water, and there's a lot of spectators here. This is a huge event in Sweden and in Lysekil, and a lot of the local population are actually working with this event by being volunteers.
Yes, I'm working together with the Lysekil Yacht Club, and it's a fantastic team. And when we started this, I said maximum we can never grow over 60 people. That would be too large. And now I think we are. I would say they are 120 only from the club, and then we have international umpires and you media guys and everything. So it's a big team, but I love working with them. Their enthusiasm and they love doing this, and it's great. It's a great part of my work to have the honor to work with all those people.
And it's a great event. There are a lot of nice artists playing on the main stage during the nights as well. But let's focus on the sailing. We have 12 teams out on the water.
Yes, that's right. So it's really top team. I think we have a nice mix this year of top 3 ranked in the world. We have new names, we have new local names sailing very well, and we have some old names that used to race even back in the days when I was racing.
Oh,
so,
yes.
Yeah, we might have some heart gears. To start,
and I think they might want you out there on the waters, actually.
You never know.
But we are about to start second day of racing. And yesterday was a very successful day. We had light winds. Today, the weather forecast is a little bit tricky, huh?
Yeah, very tricky. We just saw this wind shift from the opposite direction. We are waiting for wind. And there will come wind. They say we could have quite a lot of wind in the afternoon, but it's a very tricky weather system today. Very warm outside. So therefore it feels even better that we got 10 flights through yesterday.
And Lysekil Women's Match is part of the WIM series.
Yes.
And this is actually the second stop of the tour this time around, right?
Yes.
And what is more up to come in the WIM series?
Yeah, right after this, back to back, they will run the Worlds in Russia. So some of the teams will go straight from here to Russia. After that, we have the 4th event in Switzerland. And that will be great to race on a lake and fantastic scenery. And then the final in Virgin Islands, so US Virgin Islands.
So there's a lot of good sailing to come. But right now, there are boats and teams out on the water. And I will leave you right in the good, safe hands of our expert commentator, Hanna.
Welcome to the second day here in Lysekil. We're currently waiting for the wind to settle in. And while we do that, I thought we'd do a bit of a recap of yesterday's sailing. So yesterday was the first day of Lysekil Women's Match 2018, and the sailing arena treated us to spectacular conditions with sunshine and a light but very stable wind. We managed to compete 10 matches in the initial round robin. So the round robin where all teams face off against each other. And the only crew yet undefeated in this competition is French team, Match in Pink by Normandy Elite Team, skippered by Pauline Courtois. But she's hunted down by some very competent sailors, because 4 teams, yes, I repeat that, 4 teams are tying the second spot in this round robin so far. Amongst them, 2.5 Swedish teams, I would like to say. We have Anna Östling, ranked number 1 in the world, up and coming, sailing very strong in the past WIM series, Johanna Bergqvist from Sweden as well. Then we have Claire Leroy, who's skippering for New Sweden Match Racing, and Danish skipper Henriette Koch with Team Katnaken from Denmark. You might recognize the team as they're usually skippered by Trina Paludan, an extremely seasoned team with many high-scoring women's events in their past. And we had some comments from Johanna on her sailing today. She was maintaining a perfect score until it came down to that one match against Anna Östling. And she mentioned that she was very happy with her teamwork, but then everything fell through in the match with Anna. And she said, well, maybe it was good that we managed to condense all of the mistakes to one match, and we will be back at it again today. Pauline Courtois mentioned that, we actually managed to win every single pre-start, and they were one of the teams that actually managed to not get any penalties. And she attributed many of her victories to this, because she said, we won our pre-starts, we didn't have any penalties, and we can just stick to our game plan. And in these Far East 28s, a relatively new boat to this event, previously sailed in the much larger and heavier DS-37s, the Far East are very, very sensitive to groove movements and waves. So it's crucial for the team to keep the boat moving, especially in the lighter winds that we see. And right now we have a very light westerly wind here in Lysekil. The prognosis says that the wind will shift towards a more southerly breeze, and we are expecting wind gusts of up to 10 meters per second. So get ready for some action out on the course. And so we're in the middle of this round robin. We've completed 10 flights. The round robin is 22 flights, as this is the stage where all teams face off against each other to duke it out for those quarterfinal spots. After the round robin, 4 teams will qualify directly to the quarterfinals. They will be the teams that are the 4th highest ranked teams out of the round robin. And then places 5 through 10 will go on to what we call the repechage, where you get a second chance for redemption and a shot at the quarterfinals. So 6 teams will duke it out for 6 teams will duke it out for 4 quarterfinal spots, as we need 8 teams going into the quarterfinals. So 9th and 10th place will be decided in the repechage, and they will not proceed to the next stage. But you might have noticed that we actually have 12 teams. So after these 22 flights will be concluded, 2 teams will actually not sail anymore. We talked a little about the top of the scoreboard with Pauline Courtois leading the way and the 4 hungry teams hunting her. But it's pretty even game even at the lower half of the point standings. We have Finnish skipper Marinella Laaksonen sitting on 3 wins. We have Alexa Bessel from Switzerland sitting on 2 wins. Margot Venin, a prior teammate of Pauline Courtois, also sitting on 2 points. Then we have Antonia Degerlund from Finland and her team Jana Vibisar sitting on 1 point. Russian newcomer Ekaterina Kochkina also sitting on 1 point. And at the bottom, still with no wins, hoping for redemption today, we have young gun Octavia Owen from Great Britain and Swedish newcomer Sanna Mattsson. And interestingly enough, those teams will actually meet today, so I can assure you we will definitely not have 2 teams with no wins, because we will have a decider when they actually get to face off against each other. And right now we still see the AP flag up on the starting boat, indicating that start is delayed for some reason. We had some issue with divers in the water, winds not really deciding on where they want to be, which is expected given the prognosis we have. So we're waiting for and listening into the radio of what's going on at the RC boat. My colleague Olivia tuning in to their every word. But meanwhile, we're not at a loss here in Lysekil. We are taken well care of. We have the sail intent if you plan. are back from the studio. Looking at the first match we will see today, will be the first match of Flight 11. We have Pauline Courtois facing off against Henriette Koch. Henriette Koch sails with Danish team Katnaken, usually skippered by Trine Paludan. She has Josephine Rasmussen on main and tactics, Trine Benson on trim, Lærke Norgard on tail, and Lærke Sørensen on bow. They won the first WIM Series event of the year in Helsinki at the end of June. And they are an extremely seasoned team, but again, not with their usual skipper. We'll see how this actually pans out for them. So far, so good. Yesterday, they took 4 out of 5 wins, 2 in a very spectacular fashion as they won while taking a penalty on the finish line. So very, very good sailing from the Danish team, although they must have done something a bit dirty as they incurred penalties. She's facing off against your current leader, Pauline Courtois, match in pink by Normandy Elite Team, with Malène Lemaitre on main and tactics, Louise Acker on trim, Nathalie Corson on tail, and Sophie Faguet on bow. Pauline Courtois hails from Normandy in northern France. She is a sports teacher. She won WIM Series in 2017. She took 3rd in the first event of the season in Helsinki. And she has a very good track record here from Lysekil, as she took 2nd last year. Especially outstanding last year was her Jenneker sailing. So usually match racing, or most commonly match racing, is sailed with symmetrical kites, a so-called spinnaker. But these Far East boats have huge Jennekers, an asymmetrical kite, where angles are very different from what you usually have when you sail the spinnaker. And this has been her strong point. So down with this asymmetrical kite. In the second match of the 11th flight, we have her former team member, Margot Venna, with her team Mademoiselle by Normandy Elite Team, with Marie Sugalaro on main tactics, Clotilde Ponson on trim, Juliette Dubreuil on tail, and on the WIM Series stage on tail, and Eva-Lotte Hokkonen and bow. They are the highest ranked Finnish team on the women's rankings. They had a great event in Helsinki where they actually won the initial round robin stage, but got knocked out in the petite finale by Pauline Courtois. Currently sitting on 3 wins. They had a decent day, but being one of the higher ranked teams into this competition, they had some of their easy matches to start with. But she lost to, amongst other teams, Henriette Koch, who's a very good team. So they had 3 easy wins, currently sitting on 6th place in the point standing, as we have 4 teams on 4 points and 1 on 5. And in the third match for this flight 11, we have Swedish rookie Sanna Mattsson, hailing from Gothenburg, making her debut here in Lysekil. She sails with Nikki Blesser on main and tactics, Therese Berg on trim, Louise Lindqvist on tail, and Nelly Lindner on bow. And they actually practice a lot in these Far Easts, and they managed to snag their spot in this competition by winning the qualifier event, where there were 4 Swedish women's teams duking it out for the last final Swedish spot for this event. They have been match racing for about 3 years. They made their debut on WIM Series in 2016 and have climbed in the rankings to make the top 20. We actually had a few interviews with her yesterday, and she mentioned they had a rough day. Being one of the lower ranked competition teams going into this competition, she had all of her tough matches. So straight from the frying pan into the fryer. And she is facing off against Swiss team, skippered by Alexa Bessel, who were here last year. And they sail usually on a lake, the Zurich Lake. So very different home arena from what they have here. She's sailing with Fiona Testus on main and tactics, Manon Kivel on trim, Nicole Bolliger on tail, and Louise Tillot on bow. She's 26 years old, and she has a lot of dinghy experience. She's been sailing 470 and the Laser. And her team, Chica Serre, made it to Lysekil for the first time in 2012 and actually shocked when they got a second spot. So good Lysekil track record. Last year they made it to the quarterfinals but were knocked out on that stage. And maybe not here, sailing off against each other until we have a boat change. We're currently seeing somewhat more breeze coming in. We've had a change of wind direction with about 2 meters per second out on the course, still way less than the prognosis we expected to see. We had divers on the course, as I mentioned, and we are still waiting for the first start. So a bit of a delay here in Lysekil, which is to be expected. I wish I could have a schedule to go on, but the wind does what the wind wants, and the race committee is working very hard to get a course that is fair so that we can have the most spectacular and interesting sailing for you here today. So the current feed is pretty much teams tuning in their boats for this lighter breeze. And while we wait for the wind to settle in, we will take a short break and we will be back to you when the racing starts. Thank you.